Welcome back to my channel, and before we get into today's stories, please subscribe and like this video, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that when I post you'll be notified immediately. Shout out to Kessie29 for being the first person to comment on my last video. Thank you so much for the support, babe. I love you. And now Abi, you know Dada, relax, get comfortable, and let's get right into it. Hello V. I'm a 25-year-old woman and I need some perspective on the situation I recently found myself in. About a year ago, I was in a serious relationship with my boyfriend, who we will call Jake. We had been together for 4 years and I really thought he was the one. We lived together for most of that time. I was supportive of his career and he was my biggest cheerleader in school as I was completing my degree. We even talked about getting married someday. However, everything changed about 6 months ago. Jake started acting distant, coming home late, and spending more time with friends. I became suspicious and tried to give him space. After a few conversations, he finally admitted that he felt trapped in our relationship and wanted to explore what else was out there. It felt like my world crumbled when he said he was seeing someone else. The betrayal hit me hard. I had invested so much time and love into our relationship, and to be tossed aside so easily was devastating. After the breakup, I went through a painful period of healing. I had to cut off contact with him for my own mental health. It took a long time, but I eventually started to feel better and refocused on my life and friends. Fast forward a few weeks ago, and I heard through mutual friends that Jake was moving in with his new girlfriend, Laura. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and a bit of relief that he seemed happy with someone else. Then out of nowhere, Jake reached out to me. He texted asking if I could help him move. What? I stared at the message in disbelief. Did he think I would just jump back into his life after everything that happened? Naturally, I didn't respond immediately. When I finally sent him a text, I was straightforward. Jake, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for, babe? What are you sorry for? But I can't help you. I need to focus on my own life right now. I felt guilty for a moment. Babe! But I quickly reminded myself of how he had treated me. I didn't owe him anything. You don't owe him anything. Let's continue. Jake didn't take my refusal well. He responded angrily, saying I was being immature and selfish. What? I thought we could be friends after everything. Guess I was wrong, he wrote. I felt my anger rise reading his message. Why did he think I would want to be friends with him after how he treated me? I chose to ignore his next few texts. Things took a turn when I started getting messages from mutual friends. They were upset with me for not helping him and thought I was being cruel. What is going on? He is going through a tough time, one friend said. You should put aside your feelings and help him out. What about his current girlfriend? I'm confused. I was stunned. Did they really believe I should forget everything he did to me just because he needed help with moving? It didn't stop there. A couple of friends even reached out to me privately, suggesting I needed to grow up and let go of the past. I felt like I was being punished for standing up for myself and refusing to help someone who had hurt me deeply. Should I have helped him move despite everything? I want to believe I did the right thing for my peace of mind, but with all the pressure from friends, I'm unsure. So V, what do you think? Was I wrong for standing my ground? What? What is going on? The audacity. What is inside the food people are eating nowadays? You cheated on your girlfriend and you have the audacity to ask her to help you move. I don't even know what to say. Jake hurt you deeply. He cheated on you. You don't owe him anything, especially after how he treated you. Babe, you need to cut out those friends out of your life. They don't like you. Cut them off. You are not being immature or selfish. You are protecting your mental health, which should always come first. Stay firm in your decision. Focus on your own healing and your own life. Babe, don't let people who have used you take advantage of you. You need to be strong. Surround yourself with friends who understand and respect your boundaries. If Jake or anyone else tries to pressure you again, hold your ground. Keep moving forward and don't let anyone make you feel bad for standing up for yourself. I'm wishing you all the best. And now, if you have any advice for this sender, write story number 1 and leave your advice and opinions. She's going to be in the comment sections reading them. Let's move on to story number 2. I come from a relatively close-knit family. Growing up, my cousins and I spent a lot of time together, sharing vacations, holidays, and birthday parties. I have fond memories of all the fun times we had, especially with my cousin. Let's call her Emily. She's a year younger than me. We were inseparable as kids, but over the years, our lives took different paths. Fast forward a few years to when I got engaged to my partner. It was a very exciting time for me, and I wanted to celebrate with my family, especially with my cousin Emily. I sent out invitations to my wedding, which took place last year. I was thrilled to see who would show up, but then things took a turn. As the wedding date approached, I noticed that Emily didn't respond. I thought maybe she was busy or had other commitments, but I was still hopeful she would attend. I reached out to her a few weeks before the wedding to check in and see if everything was okay. To my surprise, she told me she couldn't make it because she had a last-minute trip planned with her boyfriend. I felt disappointed, but I tried to understand that things happen. After my wedding, I felt sad and a bit hurt, but I tried to let it go. Until I saw photos of Emily's trip on social media. She was traveling to an amazing destination, having a great time with friends, and it felt like a slap in the face. Now here we are months later. Emily is engaged and just announced their wedding date. I received an invitation in the mail last week. As I read through it, my heart filled with mixed emotions. I was happy for her, but anger quickly took over. How could she ask me to come to a wedding when she didn't support me? She didn't even have the decency to let me know she couldn't make it until it was almost too late. Why should I celebrate a milestone in her life when she didn't care enough to be there for mine? Her wedding is also in another state, which means that I will have to put everything in my life on hold to attend her wedding. After a lot of back and forth in my head, I decided to skip Emily's wedding. I felt that attending would be a lie, pretending to be excited when I felt hurt and betrayed. I wanted to take a stand for myself and my feelings. It wasn't long before I received a message from Emily asking if everything was okay and expressing disappointment that I hadn't responded back yet. Did she respond to you? Some people, let's continue. I decided to be honest. I told her that I was hurt by her absence at my wedding and that it made me reconsider attending hers, especially since it was far away. I hoped she understood where I was coming from. Emily's response shocked me. She was defensive and didn't seem to comprehend why I was upset. She told me it was a different situation because her trip was planned months in advance and she couldn't just cancel it. She said I was overreacting. Now I don't know what to do. Should I just suck it up and go to a wedding to keep the peace? Or should I stand my ground and not attend because it felt right for me? Was I being unreasonable? Am I wrong for not wanting to attend my cousin's wedding because they didn't come to mine? Should I let go of my feelings and be there for a big day? Or am I justified in my decision to skip it? Babe, your feelings are completely justified. Emily chose to skip your wedding. And she didn't even seem to care enough to let you know until it was too late. You had to contact her before she told you she would not be coming. Why should you have to drop everything and go to a wedding now when she didn't support you on your big day? We are not being selfless this year. If you cannot go, don't go. It is important to stand up for yourself. If attending a wedding feels fake because of how she treated you, then it is okay to skip it. Now, if you do choose to go to a wedding, it should be because you genuinely want to, not because you feel forced. But if you don't, make that decision confidently. You are allowed to protect your feelings and choose not to attend events where you feel disrespected. Remember that it is your life and your choices. Don't let anyone force you to do anything you don't want to do. I'm wishing you all the best, babe, and take care of yourself. And now, if you have any advice for this sender, write story number 2 and leave your advice and opinions. She's going to be in the comment sections reading them. Let's move on to story number 3. Hi V. Last year, my grandfather, who I was really close to, passed away. It was quite private, which left many mysteries behind. After he died, my family gathered to go through his old house and figure out what to do with his belongings. My grandfather had lived alone and didn't have a will, So my parents, aunts and uncles decided to split everything evenly among all the grandkids and siblings. It was a hard time for everyone, but we supported each other through the grieving process, and that is what he would have wanted. One weekend, my family organized a big cleanup of his house. Everyone was there, sifting through old photographs, furniture and belongings. As I was going through some boxes in his wardrobe, I stumbled upon a small dusty box behind some old clothes. I carefully opened it, and to my shock, it was filled with stacks of cash. Wow. I froze in disbelief. Why was there so much money hidden away? And why did no one know about it? I quickly closed the box. I didn't want to get too excited, knowing that finding money can complicate family relationships, and I wanted to be sure to handle it the right way. That evening, I decided to share my discovery with my parents, thinking they would want to figure out what to do next. When I told them, they were just as shocked as I was. My dad determined that we should keep it a secret for now, given that we didn't know how others would react. We needed to sort out the next steps and make sure it was handled properly. A few days later, we were discussing what to do about the money when we heard a knock on the door. It was my grandfather's old friend, Steve. My grandfather had known him for decades, and while I knew they were friends, I didn't have a strong connection to him. He seemed unusually interested in the house and began asking questions about what we had been finding. From the way he was talking, I felt he had been listening to our conversation before he knocked on the door. During this visit, Steve casually said, "You know, your grandfather once told me he had kept a considerable amount of cash hidden away. I always wondered if he would ever show me." When he said this, I knew he had definitely heard us talking about the money. Later that week, out of nowhere, Steve contacted my dad directly. He claimed that he had lent my grandfather a significant sum of money years ago and he wanted it back. What? He asserted that the cash I found belonged to him and offered to make a deal. They could split it if we returned half of it to him. Suspicious movement, Steve. Let's continue. I was stunned. Was he lying, manipulating the situation, or could there be some truth to his claim? My family was divided. My dad thought it was best to pay him half to avoid conflict. No. Well, my mom and I were more skeptical. What if he's trying to scam us? I argued. We don't have any proof of his loan or contract. What if he just wants to take advantage of us because he knows we found the cash? That is what is happening. The conversation turned intense. In that moment, I felt torn. On one hand, I didn't want to appear ungrateful or selfish by keeping the money, especially if Steve was telling the truth. Steve is a liar. But on the other hand, this money could mean a lot for our future. I was filled with anxiety and confusion. I began to wonder if I should consult a lawyer to understand my position better. After doing some digging, I discovered that in cases like this, if money was found in a house owned by someone who has passed and it wasn't part of any will, it usually falls to the next of kin, my family. However, I knew this situation with Steve was going to become complicated fast. Finally, I gathered my parents for another discussion. I pushed for the idea of reaching out to a lawyer to verify everything and to protect our rights regarding the money. After much debate, my parents agreed. We contacted a local lawyer who specialized in inheritance disputes. After reviewing our situation, the lawyer advised us to protect the cash and not disclose where it was unless we were certain about Steve's claims. The lawyer also suggested we document everything for the future. This decision didn't sit well with Steve. When he found out we were considering legal action, he became hostile, accusing us of being ungrateful. He called us several times, threatening to take us to court over his money. Now, as I sit here, I'm at a crossroads. The threat of a possible legal battle and Steve's accusations, I'm filled with doubts. Should I just hand over the money to avoid conflict or stand firm and protect my family's rights? This is where I need your help. I don't know what to do. What should my next steps be? Babe, you need to be smart about this whole situation. Steve is a scam. Since you discovered the money in your grandfather's house and he didn't leave a will, it should belong to you and your family. I think you should keep gathering all the information you can. You mentioned talking to a lawyer, and that is the right step. They can help you understand your rights and guide you on how to deal with Steve's claims. Legal advice is important because you don't want to make decisions that will hurt you in the long run. Document everything, including any communications you have with Steve. This will protect you if things escalate. Now, regarding Steve, don't engage with him. The more you argue or talk to him, the more he can twist the situation and create problems for you and your family. Babe, just follow the legal part. Steve is lying. He just wants the money for himself. Stay strong and be smart about handling everything. I'm wishing you all the best. And now, if you have any advice for the sender, write story number 3 and leave your advice and opinions. She's going to be in the comment sections reading them. Let's move on to story number 4. Hi V. I'm a 25-year-old guy living in a 2-bedroom apartment with my roommate Kay. We've been friends for about 5 years, and we decided to move in together about a year and a half ago to save on rent. Overall, it's been a good arrangement. We enjoy similar interests, respect each other's space, and generally get along well. Recently, things started to change when Kay began dating his girlfriend Lisa. They hit it off immediately, and she started spending almost every night over at our place. At first, I didn't mind because I could see how happy Kay was. But as time went on, it started to feel crowded. I'm a pretty private person, and I value having my personal space, especially at home. Lisa was loud and a bit messy. She would go into the fridge and take out food and drinks without asking who they belonged to. Now, a few weeks ago, Kay casually mentioned that he and Lisa were thinking about moving in together. He seemed excited about the idea, but that didn't sit well with me. At first, I figured they'd likely look for a new place since we only had 2 bedrooms, and it wouldn't make sense for her to move in with us. That was my hope, but then Kay dropped a bombshell. One evening, while we were watching TV, Kay said, "So I talked to Lisa, and we've been thinking she might move in here with us. It will save us both a lot of money." I was taken aback. "Wait, what?" I replied. He explained that it will be temporary while they saved up for a new place. I didn't like the idea, and I knew I had to say something. I took a deep breath and responded, "Look man, I'm not sure about this. I've always thought living together was just the 2 of us. It's been our space." Kay looked surprised and said, "Come on, it's just for a little while. It will be fine." I tried to explain that I value my space, and I'm not comfortable with someone else staying in what I consider our home. I knew Lisa well enough, and while I liked her, I just didn't want to feel like I was living in a couple space. We ended up having a long argument. Kay insisted that I was being selfish and that I should be more supportive of his relationship. He threw in comments about how I had friends over and how it wasn't fair for me to keep my own social life but deny him the same opportunity. I understood his point, but I also felt justified in wanting my privacy. After that conversation, Kay started acting distant. He seemed frustrated whenever I brought up any topics that didn't involve Lisa or their plans. I sensed a change in the household dynamic, and it made me uncomfortable. I tried to keep things normal, but every time I walked into the living room, it felt awkward, like I was intruding on their space, even when it was still our apartment. A week later, the conversation came to a head. Kay said he was still considering having Lisa move in and wanted to know my final answer. I told him flat out that I couldn't go along with it. I felt it wasn't right for me and would lead to a lot of tension. It was my home too, and I felt that needed to be respected. That is when things turned sour. Kay got angry, saying I was holding him back from something that could be really good for him. He called me selfish and said that if I didn't agree, it might affect our friendship. This hit me hard. I had no intention of jeopardizing our friendship, but I also couldn't compromise my comfort and privacy. As time passed, I started to feel isolated. I decided to talk to Kay again. I explained my feelings one more time and how I felt uncomfortable being in a living arrangement that wasn't balanced. However, Kay was still angry. He insisted I was ruining his happiness, and that hit hard. I tried to make him see my side, but he just wouldn't budge. A few days later, everything came to a boiling point. Kay brought Lisa over, and it turned awkward. I tried to be polite, but I could see the tension. Lisa tried to talk to me about the possibility of moving in. I politely but firmly told her no. She looked hurt, and that made me feel guilty. It wasn't her fault, but I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. That night, Kay confronted me again. This time, he said, if you are not okay with Lisa moving in, maybe we should look for a new living arrangement. I didn't want to lose a friend over this, but I couldn't back down either. I told him, if that is what you feel you need to do, then I won't stop you. After that conversation, Kay started looking for new apartments. As more time went on, Kay found a new place and Lisa was moving in with him. Now, I feel I might have overreacted. Did I do the right thing? Was I selfish for refusing to let Lisa move in? Part of me worries that I lost a good friend over this. So V, am I the asshole for refusing to let my roommate's girlfriend move in? Babe, at the end of the day, it is all about you protecting your peace and your mental health. I think you did the right thing. You have every right to want your own space and privacy in your home. You and Kay agreed to live together, and there was no agreement that included a third person moving in. Your feelings about needing your own space is valid. You shouldn't have to compromise your comfort just for his happiness. Now that Kay has found a new place and is moving on, try to keep the lines of communication open. Let him know you value your friendship. Hopefully, with time, he will understand where you are coming from, and your friendship can survive this challenge. Babe, you did the right thing. Peace of mind is paramount. Take care of yourself, and I'm wishing you all the best. And now, if you have any advice for the sender, write story number 4 and leave your advice and opinions. It's going to be in the comment sections, reading them. And now, Abi, you know that. This is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to them in the comment sections, because obviously these issues are worrying them, and that is why they've sent me the stories in the first place. So please be kind. If you've not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for, babe? Subscribe and like this video, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.